It's Tuesday, December 2nd at 5:30 PM. We'll call this council meeting to order, beginning with a roll call. And we'll start with Councilor Whipple,
Rachel Whipple,
Gary Garrett,
Catrice McKay,
Travis Hoban,
Becky Bogdan.
George Handley.
And Craig Christensen.
Thank you, Councilor Christensen, for joining us online today. We'll begin our meeting with an opening prayer. The prayer will be offered by Jared Morgan, after which the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilor Handley.
Our beloved Father in heaven, we are grateful to be here on this beautiful December day. Grateful for the work provided by city staff members and elected officials to make good decisions for the city. We thank thee for the citizens and for the great place that Provo is. We ask a blessing on the meeting this evening, and please bless that all will go well. And we thank thee, Father, for our many blessings, and say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor Handley, and thank you, Jared, for the invocation. We do have a full council this evening, including Councilor Craig Christensen, who's joining us online, and we also welcome Mayor Kafusi. We'll begin with a presentation recognizing the winner of the 2025 American Water Works Association for the Intermountain section, who will receive the 2025 Outstanding Operator Award. This will be presented by our Public Works Director, Gordon Haight. And Gary will join you as well.
Gary is Ryan's direct supervisor, and he has the most nice things to say about him. So we're going to turn that over to him.
So thank you. This is Ryan York. Ryan was nominated, Council and Mayor, glad to be here. Ryan was nominated as the outstanding water operator, not only in the state of Utah, but also the state of Idaho. He was nominated by his peers, his staff, for that award. So this is quite major award for not only Ryan, but for Provo City. To kind of let you know what Ryan's responsibilities are, he works underneath me, and he is over two divisions. So he is over the sources and distribution, meaning he is the guy that gets the water into your pipes. Okay, he oversees those 500 plus miles of pipe out in the road, the 20,000 meters, the 8 to 10 billion gallons of water the city goes through in a given year. He is the guy that's over that, meaning he's over the booster stations. He's over the water tanks. I mean, he has a lot of responsibilities. If you were to talk to Ryan about some of the testing he does for our water, I cannot pronounce the names of some of the things that he does. And so Ryan has a lot of responsibility, but he does a very good job. He is a person that actually, what's little kind of tells a little bit about Ryan and myself. I hired Ryan back in 1996, right out of high school. And so I've known Ryan for a very long time, and he's very well qualified. He does a great job. He's admired by staff. He's a great leader. He's able to work with people, not only just staff, but also with the public. So it's a great here's the award. It's a great privilege that I have to award Ryan this award. When we gave him this award, he did not know it. I had to basically lie, not cheat, but I had to lie to get him to the award ceremony to get that. And it totally surprised him when he received that last month. So I'm very proud of Ryan and all that he accomplishes. He does a great job for Provo City and the residents. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ryan, congratulations. That sounds like it's well earned, well deserved. Where was the ceremony, Gary, that you had to sneakily
That
get him
that
to?
was the tough part. I had to get him to Vernal.
Vernal.
And that's not a destination that a lot of people go to in
Uh-huh.
October. But
Yeah.
we made several excuses that he had to go there and watch some other staff doing that presentation.
Mhm.
One other thing, if I could just say, Ryan has been very instrumental in helping us with our drinking water plant as far as the design and now the construction. So
Mhm.
that project's been under construction for 2 years, and then a year from now, that plant will be coming on board. So Ryan has been helping
Yeah.
amongst all his other responsibilities, filling in that as well. So
Ryan, could we get a picture with you just down here in
Absolutely. And
front?
again, he's responsible for the third best water in America.
Yes.
Ryan, don't you need to give us a speech now?
Well, my speech goes, Gary told me he had his eyes dilated and he couldn't drive and I needed to get him out to Vernal. So we drove out to Vernal. We met the guy from Skinwalker Ranch was the keynote speaker. That was probably the highlight. But the award is great. This is an awesome award. But it's really the guys, the people that work for us. They're the ones that deserve the credit for what we're doing.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Are we down to third now? Have we? As indicated on the screen, a required public hearing will be held for certain agenda items prior to council action. After each such item has been presented, time to comment will be provided for all who wish to speak. For items that do not require a public hearing, public comment will still be taken following the presentation of the item. At this time, up to 15 minutes have been set aside for an open public comment period, which is intended to allow comment on matters that do not appear on the agenda, but are limited to topics regarding municipal business or within municipal council purview. During any public comment period, each speaker will generally be limited to 2 minutes. Due to noticing requirements, no formal action will be taken in this meeting on matters that do not appear on the agenda. Those with comments are invited to approach the podium. If you're participating by Zoom, you can just click the raised hand feature on your computer and we'll acknowledge you that way as well. Please begin your comments by stating your name and city of residence. If there are any here who would like to address the council during this public comment period, you can approach the podium at this time.
Hello, my name is Ryder Nielsen. I'm a Provo City resident. As a result of reviewing utility bills, I have a suggestion to allow for water bill leak adjustments. Last year, we checked with the city of Provo to request a leak adjustment credit, but the city of Provo did not allow that. I was sent an email today to all city council members with a sample of a leak adjustment form and an ordinance from another city that allows for uses adjustments. As a result of a leak of our home, used 578,000 gallons during the last 24 months, an overpayment of $1,204.07 was made. Thank you for letting me share my suggestion.
Thank you, Ryder. Anyone else? Yes, come approach the podium. And then just tell us your name and city of residence.
Thomas Brewster, resident of Provo. I'd like to call for an action from each of you. There's a particular issue I'd like to discuss, and that call to action is to forward this up to higher state leadership. The issue, ghost jobs. I find this incredibly difficult to find employment, not just for myself, but many Americans across the nation. I propose a solution that I would like forwarded up to higher state leadership to combat the problem of ghost jobs. I would like to make it illegal to post a job advertisement with no intention on filling that role. To enforce this, the position must be filled within 2 weeks by a reasonably qualified candidate, or else the company must pay the unemployment benefits of all qualified candidates who applied. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Anyone else? If not, we'll close public comment and begin with the next item on our agenda, which is a resolution appointing individuals to the Board of Trustees of the Metropolitan Water District of Provo. This will be presented to the council by our Executive Director, Justin Harrison.
Good evening, council. Have before you a resolution for the appointment of 3 individuals to the Metropolitan Water Board of Provo. State law requires that in the cases of cities like Provo, a water district that is contained wholly within a single municipality, that the legislative body appoint the individual members of that board, including the city's water supply manager. And so what we have before you tonight is, and if Kevin, if you want to pull that resolution up, there are 3 names for terms that are ending at the end of this year that will begin for 4 years in the next calendar year. And they are Woodruff Miller, Dennis Weir, and Derek Burton. 2 of these individuals are current members of the board, and you have 1 new potential appointee. If there are any questions, happy to answer them. If not,
Any questions for Justin? Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
We'll now open this item for public comment. If there are any here who would like to comment on any of these proposed appointments. Seeing none, we'll close public comment and bring the item back to the council for discussion. Any council questions or discussion? Councilor Whipple.
So I served on the Metropolitan Water Board before I was elected to the council, and I'm still the council liaison to the board. I know all 3 of these men, and they're all incredibly well qualified for this position. And I'm grateful that they're willing to serve in this capacity.
Thank you, Rachel. Others? Okay, we'll call for a vote then. Councilor McKay,
Yes.
Councilor Christensen,
Yes.
Councilor Hanley,
Yes.
Councilor Bogdan,
Yes.
Councilor Hoban,
Yes.
Councilor Whipple,
Yes.
and Councilor Garrett, yes. So that resolution passes by a vote of 7-0. Thank you. Next, we have an ordinance amending the development agreement related to real property generally located at 1069 North Geneva Road in the Lakeview North Neighborhood. This will be presented by our planning supervisor, Aaron Ardmore. Aaron, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Council. So this relates to a rezone that was done at 1069 North Geneva Road back in November of 2023. A development agreement was then signed on January 2024. So the applicant is here to amend that development agreement in two areas. You'll see that in Section 4B, there was obligation to confirm wetland status with the Army Corps of Engineers. That has been done. So they would like to remove that from the proffers of the agreement. And then the other change to the development agreement proposed is the concept plan attached to the agreement as Exhibit B. The initial idea was to build twin homes, 58 twin homes. They want to now go to 58 single-family detached homes. Those are the only changes being proposed within the agreement. We've recommended approval. Still meets all the zoning regulations and codes. Planning Commission also recommended approval on this, and I know the applicant's here if you have any questions.
Any questions for Aaron? The developer is here. Do you have any additional comments, Mr. Seeley? Okay. Any questions for the developer? All right. This item is open for public comment. If there's anyone here who would like to make a comment relative to this item, you can approach the podium. If not, we'll close public comment and bring the item back to council for discussion. Any comments, councilors, or discussion? All right. We'll call for a vote then. Councilor Christensen?
Yes.
Councilor Handley?
Yes.
Councilor Bogdan?
Yes.
Councilor Hoban?
Yes.
Councilor Whipple?
Yes.
Councilor Garrett? Yes. And Councilor McKay?
Yes.
Thank you. That item passes by a vote of 7-0. Next, we have an ordinance amending Provo City recommendations regarding the Slate Canyon Park in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. This will be presented by one of our new city planners, Deanne Morgan. Welcome, Deanne.
Hello, good to be with you tonight. It's my first time joining you at City Council, so it's very nice to be here. This is for a general plan text amendment to Appendix E of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan to clarify intent for city-owned land around Slate Canyon Park in the Provo neighborhood, and it's Chapter 7.1 of that plan. I know that this has been quite some topic of discussion, and the application was initiated by the City Council staff. The Provo City General Plan that was adopted by the City Council in 2023 included guidelines for balancing land use and development with preserving open space, increasing resilience, limiting development in hazardous areas such as the wildland-urban interface along the foothills of the city. The Slate Canyon Park area falls within that zone, where it is susceptible to hazards such as wildfire risks. It poses significant challenges to the city in terms of potential development because of limits on the feasibility for providing and maintaining roads, utilities, infrastructure, due to the topography and geologic constraints of being in the foothills. Language in the plan currently calls out allowing for some single-family residential development to be considered around Slate Canyon Park for the purpose of helping to fund park development. At this time, it's being proposed that a text amendment be brought before you to eliminate the second bullet point from Appendix E, Chapter 7.1 of the Parks and Recreation Master Plan for Slate Canyon Park, which reads, consider all of the city-owned land at Slate Canyon and evaluate select parcels that may be suitable for residential development and utilize proceeds for park development. Eliminating this single line from the plan will just clarify the intent of the city to support the goals of the master plan that I outlined for preserving open space and protecting the vulnerable foothills area. And in the plan, it does call out to consider development in less hazardous areas. The Planning Commission voted unanimously 8-0 to recommend approval on November 12th of 2025. Staff is now recommending that the City Council approve the general plan text amendment to Appendix E, the Parks and Recreation Master Plan for Slate Canyon Park in Chapter 7.1. And are there any questions?
Any questions for Deanne? All right, thank you, Deanne. This item is open for public comment. If there is anyone here who would like to speak to this topic, you're welcome to approach the podium at this time. If not, we'll close public comment and bring the item back to council for discussion. Councilors, any comments or discussion at this time? Councilor Bogdan.
I just want to express my appreciation for getting this done and doing this. I really do appreciate it. And I like the message that it sends to the community that we do respect the desires of the public, and that's why we're doing this.
Thank you, Becky. Others? Councilor Christensen.
I would just echo what Becky has said. That neighborhood has been very clear. They want to keep that space as open space and help that be just a wonderful neighborhood. And I think this is a very appropriate next step.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, then we'll call for a vote. Councilor Handley.
Yes.
Councilor Bogdan.
Yes.
Councilor Hoban.
Yes.
Councilor Whipple.
Yes.
Councilor Garrett. Yes. Councilor McKay
Yes.
and Councilor Christensen.
Yes.
Thank you. So that item passes by a vote of 7-0. Next, we have an ordinance approving the petition to annex approximately 144.98 acres of property generally located at 5078 North Canyon Road in the North Timpview Neighborhood. This item will be presented by one of our city planners, Jessica Donachie. Hello, Jessica.
Hello, thank you. Can I get the clicker? We don't have a clicker, but that's okay. This annexation petition was brought before you previously. It is to bring in the property that is highlighted on the map on this slide. Thank you. So it is approximately 144 acres with a mix of undeveloped land and land that already has mostly single family dwellings on them. It will be annexed in as OSPR, or Open Space Preservation and Recreation. The main condition that staff felt was necessary as part of this annexation was to get an annexation agreement signed. As of today, we do have that signed by all of the petitioners. And that is mostly just to highlight that some of this land is very developmentally sensitive, and that development of any new properties and any attached infrastructure is going to be with the responsibility of the developer to work with the city. And then for the next steps for this annexation to be approved, you as the city council would be passing this ordinance, and it would get sent off to the state to be certified, after which it would go to the county to be recorded. For the development portion, it would have to come back to you to be rezoned according to how they want to develop that. And then a project plan would go to Planning Commission. The developers for a good portion of this land are aware of that process, so they're getting those applications ready, should this be passed and approved. Do you have any questions?
So did I see, Jessica, 15 different owners related to this property, and all have had the opportunity to sign now?
Yes, they have all signed. Our main applicant has been chasing them down a little bit. We've got going around with notaries. So we've got that all signed and notarized.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Jessica? Counselor Handley?
Yeah, I was, how far along has the conversation been along the lines of the development that's being proposed? In the packet, I saw something in the order of 300 units. How serious is that a proposal?
That is extremely preliminary. 300 units will probably not be a feasible number. That was included as the annexation agreement, but the wording specifically says that this is informational. That is not what the city is agreeing to as for development. There have been many meetings with the applicant and Public Works to get a better understanding of how to work around the developmentally sensitive areas. Right now, everything is really preliminary. We don't have any official plans that we've been reviewing. But that concept plan is just informational, that the goal is to kind of have a mix of detached single-family dwellings, a few townhomes possibly, and then a general idea of how the roads would be mapped out.
I think what concerns me is the OSPR designation was created as a incentive or disincentive to potential annexations to force or obligate the city to approve development. And even though that's what is happening here, they're coming in as OSPR with talk of the development, with sketches of plans of a development, and sounds like pretty detailed conversations. I'm worried about the obligation to say yes to something that is proposed at a later point. Are you confident, and Brian, are you confident that if we said yes to the annexation, and in theory, if the council said absolutely no development, I don't know if that's what the council is going to say, but I mean, is there any obligation whatsoever?
No, I think the annexation agreement is very clear that the city has no obligation to build any infrastructure to support development, and that all development is subject to other discretionary approvals, including that have to rezone it, which the council will have absolute discretion over.
And presumably, though, with the annexation, staff's feeling is that this at least allows our direct jurisdiction over these properties that we did not previously have.
Correct. With it being in the county, development would have run through county permitting and not through Provo City.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Other questions? All right. Thank you, Jessica.
Gary?
Yes, Counselor Christensen, I'm sorry.
So I hate to sound like a broken record on this. I still have neighbors who ask me, how in the world could we be thinking about this kind of development when we couldn't do a much smaller development at the gravel pit? And so maybe, again, you could just for the record, Jessica, explain how things have changed. So now that this is a possible when a much smaller project that was proposed was not possible.
I will actually take the opportunity to turn this over to Gordon, who is our Public Works Director and can answer that far better than I can.
Thank you, Gordon. Welcome.
Great, thanks. And that was a good question. The project in the gravel pit could have gone forward. It's just that there was a significant amount of infrastructure that they would have needed to pay for to make it happen. So when we've talked to this developer, we've shown them their stormwater improvements, water improvements, sewer improvements, all would have to be done off-site to the tune of millions of dollars for them to get their first house built. So it's not that the other developments couldn't go forward. It's just the collection systems and the distribution systems of the water are not there yet. And this development would be required to do water tanks and other things that are fairly substantial to make that happen.
Thank you, Gordon. That's helpful. Here's my concern. In order to pay for that infrastructure, they're going to have to come with a massive development in order to justify the infrastructure. And it breaks my heart when we get people who have put in all the energy and expectation. I am not in favor of this being the kind of density that's possible. I would like to see this stay OSPR. I like the idea of us having some jurisdiction over that land instead of the county, but I'm not in favor of a big project. And I would just go on the record to say I will not be supporting the kind of projects that we have been proposed in the past. And so, for what it's worth, just trying to anticipate people having high expectations after high investment, I am not in favor of that.
Thank you, Councillor Christensen. Any other questions for Gordon? Councillor Bogdan.
Gordon, was this one that is in an annexation agreement?
No, so they're aware, the annexation agreement, I think, just declares that they have a lot of offsite infrastructure. The exact cost of that offsite infrastructure is going to be determined by what they intend to develop. The more units, the more the offsite infrastructure costs are going to go up. But we have not seen a plan of what they're proposing today. So,
But I did see an annexation agreement and it was discussed in planning commission. Was it this annexation particularly, or was it the next annexation that we're going to see?
This one and number 5 and let's see. Yes, number 5 and number 6 have proposed annexation agreements.
Okay, so just speaking to what Craig's concern is my understanding, and tell me if I'm wrong, Brian, my understanding is this annexation agreement is what the city is telling the developer and the landowners that there is absolutely no obligation to provide any infrastructure because it's not there, right?
That's correct.
And that we have no obligation to zone this for any reason for any development or anything else, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Thank you, Gordon. We'll now open this item for public comment. If there are any here who would like to speak to this issue, you're welcome to approach the podium at this time. Welcome, Sharon.
Sharon Mehmet, neighborhood. I apologize, I didn't get to hear the discussion. I appreciate you letting us talk to it. I did get to hear Craig's comments, and so I appreciate that. I did get to read part of the staff report and appreciate that the neighborhood meeting was mentioned and that most of the people at the time were in favor of, but I appreciate this process and I would love if someone could explain to us maybe some of the generalities that are allowed in the OSPR, since that's what it's coming in as, because I know a lot of people will be watching as you consider projects and rezoning. So yes, we're okay with it coming in, or at least that was the general feel at the neighborhood meeting, but they will be watching, right? We don't want this open space. Sounds great. We're concerned about, different projects that have been proposed in the past and how large they could get. I appreciated that it said at least in the staff report, it said that the owners would be generally expected to pay for upgrades and services that they may want. So those were kind of the feelings that I got after the neighborhood meeting. I had people come up and say, wow, why did you vote for this? And why are people saying yes to this? I think we're okay because we weren't exactly excited about what could be built in an agriculture zone. So there's the balance that we need to strike as we move forward with this. I did see also in the staff report, it said something as Councillor Bogdan mentioned, that there's an agreement or something, but none of that should supersede, help me understand, none of that should supersede having another process to change a zone to any higher density than this.
That's correct. In fact, basically the purpose of the annexation agreement is to set expectations so that everybody knows that that's the case. It
Okay.
doesn't pre-agree to anything.
Perfect. So those were our concerns as we saw this coming in. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sharon. And we may, during our discussion, we may address the issue of the OSPR zone to clarify that. Any other public comment? If not, we'll close public comment and bring the item back to council for discussion. Would anyone care to define the OSPR zone designation for Sharon and others listening? Brian, could you
It's
do
the-
that for us, please?
That is the open space preservation and recreation zone. I'll have to. The question was what the permitted uses are?
Yes,
I have
Jessica
them
can
up.
probably
Yeah,
tell
I
that.
have the list of permitted uses for the OSPR zone.
okay.
It's cemeteries, conservation grounds, golf courses, parks, recreation fields, recreational uses, city-owned community gardens, trails, trailheads, and wetlands with a conditional use of communication. So it is a very restricted list of permitted uses.
Thank you, Jessica. All right, any council comments or input, discussion? Councillor Handley.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate my concern about potential development and at least at that level. I don't know what a much more modest proposal might look like, but this is a struggle that that neighborhood has had with that area for almost as long as I've been on the council. And there's a strong preference for as much preservation of open space as possible in those foothills. There might be opportunities for smaller developments, but I would trust the future council will look very closely at any proposal and be careful. Not only to allow something that would be damaging, but undesirable overall in terms of what the public wants and values up there. Anyway, just proceed with caution is my my feeling.
Thank you, Councillor Hoban. And since our next council meeting in 2 weeks will be your last, we'll anticipate emails from you, texts, other outreach to remind us. Thank you. Any other comments?
Gary?
Yes, Councillor Christensen.
Again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but you heard that in order to even put up the first house, tremendous investment must be made in infrastructure. And the sense is going to be, in good faith, we put in all this infrastructure. And I just want to give notice to the developers. I'm not against development there. The kind of development that is being talked about, I think there's no place for those hillsides for that kind of development. And I would warn any developers from making that kind of investment, knowing that there's a very strong preference not to build on in many areas of that. There are certainly areas that could be developed. I'm not sure it's going to pay for the infrastructure that's needed. And so I just want to go on record, because when this comes back, people are going to be really upset after they've spent a lot of money. And I think that as a council, we need to communicate that upfront.
Thank you, Councillor Christensen. We'll call for a vote then on this ordinance approving the petition to annex these approximately 145 acres. Councillor Bogdan,
Yes.
Councillor Hoban,
Yes.
Councillor Whipple,
Yes.
Councillor Garrett, yes. Councillor McKay,
Yes.
Councillor Christensen,
Yes.
and Councillor Handley.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion then passes by a vote of 7-0. Okay, now we'll have an ordinance An implied motion on an ordinance approving the petition to annex approximately 2 acres of property located at 5490 and 5480 North Canyon Road in the North Timpview neighborhood. Jessica, welcome back.
Thank you. Yes, this annexation is just for approximately 2 acres of land. Both of these, it's 2 individual lots, both have an existing single-family dwelling on them. And the applicants are seeking to be zoned agriculture, a 1.1, should be 10, which is just a 1 acre lot requirement. So this annexation is a small portion of Area 5 of our annexation policy map. Because this is still in the northeast and adjacent to those developmentally sensitive lands, we did ask for an annexation agreement with this as well. It has been signed by both parties. And again, that is just to state that any development would be at the responsibility of the property owners to see how utilities and infrastructure could be provided at their cost. Neither property owner is seeking any development of either of these lots. They're just seeking to come into the city and maintain the historical agricultural use of their properties. The applicants are here. So if you have any questions, do you have any questions for me?
Any questions for Jessica? All right. Thank you, Jessica. This item is open for public comment. If there are any here who would like to make a comment, you can approach the podium at this time.
Sharon Mehmet, only because Rachel asked us to speak as a board, that we did bring this to the neighborhood meeting and they were all in favor of it, supportive of their neighbors, especially maintaining the agricultural use in the area. Thanks.
Thank you, Sharon. Anyone else? If not, we'll close public comment and bring the item back to council for discussion. Councilors, any comments or input, discussion on this item? If not, we're ready for a vote. Councilor Hoban.
Yes.
Councilor Whipple.
Yes.
Councilor Garrett, yes. Councilor McKay.
Yes.
Councilor Christensen.
Yes.
Councilor Handley.
Yes.
And Councilor Bogdan.
Yes.
So that motion passes by a vote of 7-0. Thank you. Next, we have an ordinance approving the petition to annex approximately 38.79 acres of property generally located at 620 North Lakeview Parkway in the Lakeview South and Fort Union neighborhoods. And one of our city planners, Hannah Zaltz, will present this to the council. Welcome, Hannah.
Right. Hello, just a clarification for members of the public and for the council, as we talked about in the meeting today, earlier today, the work meeting. The decision tonight is whether to annex this land into Provo City, not about what development should or shouldn't be here. Put another way, the decision is about not what the future land use should be, but about whether Provo City and its residents should be part of making those decisions, bringing it under our umbrella from the county. If the city does annex these parcels, development would have to go through several steps. Almost all of these, all the ones with the asterisk, are open for public hearings. Future development, especially on the southern portion with the high water table, would be difficult and expensive, and the entire area is federally designated as wetlands, and so would require additional mitigation should development ever occur, if that's a decision the city chooses to make in the future. We also have roadmaps in place for different conservation efforts that the council has been exploring recently with different easements. So there are lots of different routes available for these parcels in the future. But again, the decision is whether or not they should come under that Provo umbrella for those decisions. It is just under 39 acres. They're on the west side, adjacent to Lakeview Parkway, on the easternmost edge of our annexation area 4. And annexation area 4 specifies that any new parcels brought in should be brought in as our open space and preservation zone, which brings no development rights. which would restrict the current development rights of the county's zoning designation of residential agricultural 5. These neighborhoods would be in the Lakeview South for the portions north of the road there, and Fort Utah for the portions south. Any questions?
Any questions for Hannah? Yes, Counselor Bogdan.
So Hannah, it bothered me today. I'm gonna make a correction. This is actually Lakeview South and Lakeview North.
Oh, I apologize. I'm
And
so
I
sorry I
just,
got
I'm
those
looking
wrong.
I'm looking at the maps now and I was right. Lakeview South goes to 820, is south of 820 and Lakeview North is north of 820 in that section. So yeah, just that correction. Other than that,
I was pulling from our GIS maps, so I'll make sure those are correct, and I'm sorry if the error was on my part.
Fort Utah just goes to the river.
Mhm.
Everything above the river is Lakeview.
Oh,
It's
there's
either
a
a
small portion
south
with
or
the
a-
river there. I
Yeah.
apologize.
No, it's okay.
No, thank you for the
Thanks, though.
correction. Good to know.
Other questions for Hannah? All right, thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.
This item is also open and available for public comment. If there is anyone here who would like to speak to this issue, you can approach the podium at this time. Hello.
Good evening.
Just-
My name's Steve Zuckerman. I'm a resident in the area within this proposed development. And from my perspective, all I can see is rapid development in the year and a half to 2 years I've lived in this area of Provo, on the adjacent to the Provo River Delta and the Utah Lake State Park is that diamond in the rough, that area between Provo High School and 620 North, especially, is below the water table. And as the surrounding areas get filled in with development rapidly within the last year and a half, I think probably 60–70% of the open space has been starting to be dredged, filled, planned for development, and the wildlife and this are all migrating to this last open space area directly across from the Provo River Delta Park, which should be left alone. This is a habitat, it's a wetland. Everything else around it has gone away. I mean, like I said, I just got here, but I can only imagine what it looked like 10 years ago as compared to what it looks like now. I believe for the sake of future generations, and for the sake of everybody in this room, expanding at Provo City, making its contribution to this wetland area that the state has already and the county has already contributed to by making the Provo River Delta Park, and the state of Utah has contributed with their marina. I think the city of Provo can take a portion of the SS Minnow, most likely that south part that you were talking about, and make that an open space recreation area and leave it in the possession of the county where the difference is, if I might take one extra second.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Zuckerman. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else? Yes.
So I didn't really come here like for
I'm sorry, remind us of
sorry.
your name.
Oh, my
Yeah, and city of residence.
Katya, and I live here in Provo.
Right, great, thank you.
So I didn't come here prepared to like say anything. I just kind of came to watch, but I kind of wanted to jump on what he was saying, is that things have just been growing so rapidly, and even I haven't been alive for all that long. I also can't imagine how things were before. And, it's kind of, it's a little worrisome because there just doesn't seem to be any slowing down. And like what he was saying about the water table, like I feel like it's also kind of a dangerous place to put houses because these places get flooded and all that stuff. Like your basement will be flooded if you have a basement, all that. I just think in general, it's kind of not a good idea, but yeah, that's what I want to say.
Thank you, Katya. Anyone else? Thank you. If not, we'll close public comment and bring the item back to council for discussion. Councilors, any comment or input? Yes, Councilor Bogdan.
Sorry, I'm a chatty Cathy. So right now, we're not looking at any kind of development on this property. We're looking at an annexation, which means bringing it from the county into the city. And it'll come in as OSPR, which we got the definition earlier today. There's not much that can go in and on it. Currently, it is zoned for houses, right? You can build one house on every 5 acres. Wetlands is a designation of the federal government, and they have to come in and designate that. And if it is designated wetlands, they have to do mitigation. So to me, bringing this into the city is a good thing. Number one, if it's in the county, per state law, our school district cannot collect taxes on it, right? It goes to Alpine School District. If it comes into the city, it comes in and it loses the residential component from the R15, but it also, those taxes, whatever are collected, actually goes to our school district instead of Alpine School District. If they decide to develop this property, they would have to come back and ask for a zone change. And if that needs to be mitigated, they're going to have to go to the federal government, to the Army Corps of Engineers, and they're going to have to decide, the Army Corps of Engineers, whether this can be developed or not, whether it is a sensitive wetland or whether it's not, whether it's part of the tributary to the Delta or Utah Lake or what's going on with that. So I understand the concerns because I live on the west side as well. And I do know that the wetlands they're sensitive areas, and there's many people on the west side that are very concerned about building even on the land that's left. I get that. I get the flooding. I get that they have to bring the land up extraordinarily. I mean, I'm in the south, so that land comes up quite a bit. 7 feet sometimes, if not higher. And I get the concerns of that. And then it supposedly brings it out of the wetlands, but there's still people that pump water out of their basements. So I understand all of this. But right now, we're not looking at a development. We're not looking at a development agreement. We're not looking at any of that. The only thing we're looking at is, do we want to bring this into the city? And to me, it's a no-brainer. Yes, let's bring it into the city. We bring it into the city. We bring it in as OSPR. The school district gets the taxes. And I just don't see the downside in bringing this parcel into the city.
Thank you, Councilor Bogdan. Others? Councilor Handley.
Yeah, I appreciate what Councilor Bogdan just said, and just want to build on that a little bit and say that I share the sentiments that were expressed by Mr. Zuckerman, that the location here is highly desirable for as much open space remaining as we can keep. I, again, will not be on the council when and if a proposal comes forward to change any zoning in this area. And I would just urge the council to be careful in making any such decisions, given the real gem that location is for our city. I think it's become extraordinarily popular. I think the river Delta restoration is an extraordinary achievement. I think the new city park nearby is a wonderful achievement, and I think there's a lot of momentum, and there's still issues to come forward to protect what we have left around that area so that they can continue to have the recreational value that it does and the natural values that it does. So I appreciate everything Councilor Bogdan just said. I do think it's better that we have jurisdiction over it than not, so that we have that power to make those decisions.
Thank you, Councilor Handley. Anyone else? Okay, we'll call for a
Gary?
vote then. Yes,
Gary?
Councilor Christensen, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, the raised hand isn't working.
No, it is working. I forgot to check.
Sorry to interrupt. Let me also just say, it's interesting. you can make a case for we have a housing crisis and we should put housing in every spot we can. And we could. You could also say on the west side, what they need are some higher end homes, and what they need is commercial development. And they're underserved in a lot of different areas. You can also make a case that part of what makes the west side so beautiful is the open space. And so I also am with Becky. I think this gives us more control. And I am not in favor of giving up that open space that I think generations and generations from now will thank us for not overdeveloping the west side.
Thank you, Councilor Christensen. I agree and expect that any potential developers of this property would approach a project with sensitivity and care, looking at the foremost needs of the city. All right, we'll call for a vote. Councilor Whipple.
Yes. I did say yes. I said it quietly, but I said it.
Councilor Garrett, yes. Councilor McKay.
Yes.
Councilor Christensen.
Yes.
Councilor Handley.
Yes.
Councilor Bogdan.
Yes.
Councilor Hoban.
Yes.
Thank you. So that motion passes by a vote of 7-0. Next, we have an ordinance amending the zone map classification of real property generally located at 113 and 191 North Geneva Road from the general commercial zone to the medium density residential zone. This is in the Fort Utah neighborhood and will be presented to us by City Planner Dustin Wright. Hello, Dustin.
Hello, thank you. So this property here, it's actually two parcels looking to be rezoned to the medium density residential zone. The owner is looking to close the commercial shop that they've had and move forward with doing a residential development on this site. The general plan there on the left shows that the designation is for a mixed use in the future, and the residential requested zone wouldn't be compatible with what the general plan is calling for here. Also, we've had quite a few people reach out talking about the desire to keep commercial where available and add commercial on the west side of Provo. So keeping it commercial that it currently is in the CG zone would help with that, and also better align with future opportunities at this site. You know, when we take a bigger look at the west side and try to pinpoint where some of the commercial nodes should be, this intersection here on Center Street, Geneva, is one where we've identified as an important one. And so that's kind of what we've been looking at here. The Planning Commission has forwarded a recommendation for denial on this rezone request, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Dustin. Any questions for Dustin? All right, thank you. I believe the developer is here if he would like to make any comment to the council and respond to questions. Jared, welcome. State
Yes.
your name and city of residence.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Jared Morgan. I live in Riverton City, Utah. I'm here representing the Adams family. They own this parcel, and they have owned the parcel since the 60s. In 2010, I actually worked directly for Provo City, and we founded Downtown Provo Inc. with Wayne Parker and John Curtis and other names people probably won't know or remember, but Paul Glauser and Dave Oka, some really good folks back then. And one of the tasks that I had when we launched Downtown Provo was to find parcels like this within the downtown to revitalize. And if we could have expanded the downtown area to capture, sections of West Provo like this, this would have been a parcel that we would have identified as something we wanted to reinvent its land use. We did this same thing throughout downtown. In fact, 63 Center is just was a result of some of our efforts that we did at downtown Provo. And today, I think it's one of the best mixed use buildings in downtown Provo. So, so when we first submitted this application, it was coupled with a concept plan. And I wish we had the concept plan up actually, because it would provide a little bit better context. In fact, the Planning Commission voted simultaneously on both agenda items because they coincide together. So I wish you could see that, but we have 26 townhomes that have been planned here. 8 townhomes front Geneva Road, and those townhomes will be for sale, and they have live work units in the bottom floor of them. As we met with staff early on, like in March and April, we were struggling with how to make this parcel work from a commercial and or mixed use standpoint, specifically because the mixed use zone requires a 10,000 square foot minimum footprint. And this parcel is just not conducive to a building of that footprint. We would actually argue that historically this parcel should have been in the residential zone with a non-conforming use to allow the family to continue commercial. And they've been operating commercially for a long time. But I think the family ought to be applauded for wanting to eliminate a blight in the area and bring something like beautiful to this area of West Provo. I don't think we're contending at all that this intersection ought to be a mixed use intersection. We are contending that this parcel specifically is not conducive to commercial or mixed use. We think that we've delivered the highest and best use for the parcel in a medium density residential. And the area historically is, we've seen Smith's come and go, and we've seen a couple other, retailers struggle around here. This is already an inherently risky business, and what we've proposed to you, we feel the market demand is there. We have for sale product, we have for rent product, and we feel like it is the highest and best use for the piece. And so that's why we're before you tonight. We've actually been excited to have the conversation with you because these infill projects are unique, and we want to be sensitive to all the hard work that's gone into general plan workings. But at the same time, we want to be sensitive to the family and the risk that comes with redeveloping something like this. And so, yeah, that's kind of that's our history here. And that's why we're requesting what we are. We really ask if you're feeling differently about our proposal, we'd like to know why, and we'd like for some direction. It's been very collaborative with the staff the entire time. In fact, our site plan is iteration like 9. And so we've worked closely with them. And we've received many phone calls from neighboring residents. They're in favor of our proposal. They've just asked that we change some of the aesthetics or change some of the parking or fencing or something like that, but we have not received the negative feedback from the residents. And so, yeah, happy to take any questions.
Jared, I read somewhere in the packet relative to attempts by you or the owners to develop the property commercially with little to no success. Can you speak to that? What attempts have been made to try to get commercial development to this site or this area? Is that something you've been involved in?
The Planning Commission comments, it was more of the context of the area in general, not the site specifically. The site has operated as a wood shop and a mechanic shop for a long time. Family owned and operated. So they haven't ever tried to redevelop something here.
Okay.
The comments were just more general comments for the area itself and how it has struggled historically commercially.
Okay. And maybe what I read was relative to combining with adjacent property owners on a larger parcel that might be attractive for commercial development. Did I read that?
Yes, the family has indicated that they have not had success with neighboring property owners in trying to assemble a larger area to, to redevelop. So they wanted to be in control of their own destiny, presenting this, their two specific parcels today.
Thank you. Other questions, Councillor McKay?
Now, in our packet, we didn't see a proposal or a number of homes or anything. Do we have that?
Yeah, I think we're doing a disservice to this discussion tonight by not showing the concept plan.
And is there a reason we're not?
I'll have.
Didn't we
Dustin
see
answer.
something that said number of units? 26?
I think that's in the planning commission agenda, right?
Was that where that was?
I think that's why it was
Dustin?
taken out.
Yeah, so at planning commission, so there's two applications, the concept plan and the rezone application. The planning commission denied the concept plan for the 26 townhome units and recommended denial on the rezone. So planning commission sees the concept plan and the rezones, the legislative item that comes to council.
Okay, thank you.
But couldn't Kevin pull that up for us?
I mean, I say we can pull it up, but according to what Dustin's just saying, they can't build what the concept plan is going to show you because it doesn't meet code, which is why it was denied by the planning commission.
Okay, then in that vein, with this zone change, how many units would he be allowed to build? 26 still?
It's a maximum 30 units to the 30 units to the acre, so we would be conforming that.
You can stay at the podium, Jared. Other questions for the developer? Okay, thank you, Jared. We'll now open this item for public comment. If there are any here who would like to speak to this issue, you can approach the podium at this time. All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment and bring the item back to council for discussion. Councillor Bogdan.
So where we don't have a neighborhood chair here, what I heard them say at the neighborhood meeting is they were vocal that this should remain commercial. That the west side is developing quite rapidly and we are losing our opportunities for commercial, and that's not along the Lakeview Parkway, right? Something on Center Street, something in the north. And so the fear is that if this does go residential, there will be no hope for commercial in the central part of the west side of the freeway. As far as my personal comments go, I have been a neighborhood chair for a really, really long time. And I do appreciate that you want to revitalize this area. And over the years that I've seen this, I've seen parcels that have been so small that development just really isn't that possible unless they combine with a neighbor. And I know this was brought up during planning commission because I watched the planning commission meetings, but there is some commercial ground, even though they're not willing to develop at this point in time to the south. There's two parcels. And I know the piece on the corner, they've struggled with developing that just because it's so odd shaped and weird and you can't get stuff on there. So I'm assuming that's why they bought the parcel just right in between you and the corner. I think that if that was combined, I think it could be a really good project. I think you could, that's what, 3.5 acres or something if you combine all those together. Even if the house wasn't willing to sell, it still is connected there in the western part of those parcels. And I think that is a great area for something to come in. I know. Yeah, anyway, thanks.
Thank you, Counselor Bogdan. Others? Counselor Whipple?
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is that our mixed use zone, as it's currently defined, means that it's basically impossible to develop this parcel according to the specifications that the zone requires. If you were able to combine this with some of the parcels to the south, that might be possible, but with just these two little ones together, you can't do it. And it always concerns me when I learned that we have through our code said that we want something, but the code makes it so it's impossible to get that thing that we've said that we wanted. I really like a lot of parts of this proposal. I like the idea of kind of the work-live space thing. The way we've done a lot of our mixed use hasn't worked very well, where you have like a big apartment complex and commercial down below. This seems like an option that might be more viable. And I do think that that kind of thing with the for sale product could work well here, especially since you have that residential immediately to the north of it. And so it could be a good buffer. That said, because the plan that they had proposed does not meet the current design standards that we have, it's really impossible for us to move forward with that. I'm also, because there's not a development that we could approve right now, I wouldn't be in favor of changing the zoning. And part of the reason I would be hesitant on that is if we could do, 30 units to the acre for the MDR zone, this is 1.32 acres for these two parcels. So that's up to 39 units. And while we certainly need that much more housing here, I don't know that we want that much dense housing there. So until we have a plan that conforms with code, or until we change the code so that a plan can be made, I don't think that I can approve this. I will also note that I do take into account the concerns of many people who are living on the west side who do want more commercial. And while these work-live units could provide some of that opportunity in a really good and interesting way, it's just not here for that approval right now.
Thank you, Counselor Whipple. Others? Counselor Handley.
Yeah, maybe this is a question for Dustin or Aaron. How soon would the mixed use zone be reimagined in our process that's underway?
So we've already seen the fault of that 10,000 square foot requirement. We had that same question come up on the property to the southwest. That was zone mixed use earlier, a couple years ago back. So we've corrected that in the rewrite, so that you'll see that when the whole package comes to you in the coming months. But rest assured that we've noticed that it's a problem and we're attempting to fix it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, it seems to me that just in the spirit of what was requested, giving our reasons, I think the two counselors who've spoken already have spoken well for how I feel, but it does seem to me that since we're in the middle of rewriting our zoning, I would anticipate and hope that we would have something that's a little more workable. But as is, it doesn't seem like it makes a lot of sense to approve it.
Would it make more sense to continue this until after the zoning rewrite has been done? If we don't do that, if we rejected it now, would he have to reapply again under the new zoning? I think this may be a question for Brian. Does his application stay good?
Well, I think that's probably actually an argument for denying it, because right now he's got a vested application with the zoning that applies, that's in the code. So if you want him to submit an application under the new zoning, I think you need to deny it and let him apply again after the new zoning exists.
I just think it's mean to make them pay to apply twice.
Well, we have in the past, in instances somewhat like this, there have been motions from the council to deny, but to recommend that development services waive application fees for a future submittal.
Yeah, and if I can maybe add to that, the current zone request is for the medium density residential, and the zone that you're describing is the mixed use zone, so it's a different zone. So I think it would make sense to reapply in that situation.
Thank you. Other comments from councilors? Councilor Bogdan?
So I just got a text. Someone has done the actual numbers. It'd be 5 acres if this was completed with the parcels below it. And there's some concern that if there's a live workspace, sometimes that turns into an extra bedroom and over occupancy and crowding. And this area of town, and this was also brought up, and I know very well, this is also brought up in the neighborhood meeting. This area of town already has parking problems. That Fort Utah Park across the street is a nightmare, and they park on Geneva Road, which is a nightmare. And it's really not conducive for something like that. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? I would like to compliment the developer for his work. I feel like you have been very sensitive to priorities of the council in terms of, I noted in your recommendation that this be that it be a combination of for sale units and for rent, and our priority to favor owner occupied housing. I felt that you were sensitive to that, and also our need for housing in general. That said, I think the biggest concern we hear expressed by residents in West Provo is the need for commercial. And although we haven't been successful yet in addressing that need, I would hate to give up that opportunity for this land that may be zoned differently under mixed use could accomplish that. Unless there's any other comment, I'll call for a vote. Councillor Christensen.
No.
Councillor Handley.
No.
Councillor Bogdan.
No.
Councillor Hoban.
No.
Councillor Whipple.
No.
Councillor Garrett. No. And Councillor McKay.
No.
That motion fails by a vote of 7-0. Thank you.
Chair Garrett, may I make another motion?
Yes.
I'd like to move that if, as we go through the zoning rewrite process, if this developer is still willing and interested in doing a project here, that development services work with him to waive the fees for a subsequent proposal for this same parcel.
We have a motion by Councillor Whipple to waive a future fee related to another development for this project. Do we have a second for that motion? I'll second it. Motion by Councillor Whipple with a second by Councillor Garrett. Councillor McKay?
No.
Councillor Christensen?
Are we going to have any discussion about that?
I'm sorry, thank you. Council
But,
discussion on?
Yeah, could I
Yes.
just make a comment? I like the intent and I don't like the precedent. When we decide some get it, some don't, I think we're better off using the system we have. Developers come in with the risk, they know the risks, they take those risks and make the best calculations they can. I don't like the idea of micromanaging those exceptions.
Thank you, Councillor Christensen. Other council input or discussion?
Well said, Craig.
Councillor McKay?
Yeah, well said.
Councillor Handley?
Maybe it was something Brian said earlier. It's usually up to the discretion of staff anyway.
Right. Well, it's entirely, I mean, even this is merely a motion would be merely a recommendation to development services staff. And like I said, I've seen it happen a couple times. It's been pretty rare. I can't off the top of my head think of one of the specific instances. Like I know I've seen it a handful of times over the years. But certainly staff has that discretion anyway already. If
Okay.
they thought that it was appropriate and just.
Counselor Bogdan?
I agree with what Craig said, but I also don't agree with the live workspace right here in this area. And so I would vote no to just no. I don't even want to encourage that. Thank you.
All right. Now we'll call for a vote. Counselor McKay?
No.
Counselor Christensen?
No.
Counselor Handley?
I don't know. No.
Counselor Bogdan?
No.
Counselor Hoban?
No.
Counselor Whipple?
Yes,
And
not that
Counsel-
it's going to do any good.
And Counselor Garrett, yes. That motion fails by a vote of 2-5, I'm sorry. We have now a resolution authorizing the mayor to dispose of property on the southeast corner of Bulldog Lane and Lakeview Parkway. This will be presented by our property administrator, Tara Riddle. Hello, Tara.
Good evening. Okay, so by way of introduction, this property we're discussing this evening is located on the southeast corner of Bulldog Lane and Lakeview Parkway, directly south of the Provo High School. The parcel contains just over 11 acres, and it was acquired by the city back in 2014 as we are acquiring property for the Lakeview Parkway. As you may recall, this property was put on the surplus property list back in May of this year with the intent of the mayor negotiating a transfer of the property with the final terms of that property negotiation coming back to the council for approval. It has since been determined that it would be more appropriate to have the property deeded to the developer by the redevelopment agency. The purpose of this resolution being considered tonight is simply to transfer ownership of the property to the redevelopment agency, which will then execute an agreement with Nelson Land Development. Before executing that agreement, the redevelopment agency will be bringing the terms of their agreement back to the redevelopment agency board. So it's pretty simple ask, I think. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Great. Thank you, Tara. Any questions for Tara? All right. Thank you, Tara. This item is open for public comment. If there are any here who would like to speak to this issue, you can approach the podium at this time. Please state your name and city of residence.
Hi, my name is David Chappell. I live in Provo. I have talked to, so I just came here to watch, but this has been interesting, very interesting. And I was thinking, I've talked to a few students at Provo High, and they've talked about how isolating it feels to go there. They really hate that they moved out there in the middle of nowhere. And they used to be a lot closer to home, used to feel a lot less in prison. So that's kind of the feedback that I've had from Provo High students at this new location. So I think the development of that could help with that. I would hate to see it all go to single family homes where they would continue, these students would continue to feel isolated. It'd be cool to have some aspect that would be good for these students. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you, David. Anyone else? If not, we'll close public comment and bring the item to council for discussion. Any comments, councilors, or input? Councilor Bogdan.
I appreciate the public comment, but we've already approved the single family housing across the street. But what makes me excited about it is this is half market rate, half for Provo City employees. So it gives the opportunity for firefighters, police officers. Brian makes too much money, but someone in his office could qualify. Tara probably makes too much money, but someone in her office could qualify as well. So it gives me a lot of comfort because I do have a child at Provo High, and I haven't, my caboose will be there eventually, right? To know that if anything happens, there is EMTs, firefighters, police officers right across the street from that high school. My kids have been in lockdown over there a couple of times, and it's pretty scary, even as a parent. I mean, I'm not the kid there, but it's pretty scary. But to know that you've got help right across the street, that makes me happy, and it makes me feel safe for my children, for you, and for your friends to be able to have that amenity right across the street. There's not very many high schools, I don't think, that would have that number of concentrated people there. And I hear the concern about the elementary school and kids walking back and forth. I guarantee you, when there's a lot of police officers and firefighters there, that, you know, people are going to think a couple of times before you do that when you see a couple of Provo City police vehicles, right? So I'm excited for it. And I'm sorry that you won't get what you wished for, but I really think that this is a great move in the step forward for Provo.
Thank you, Councillor Bogdan. Others? If not, we'll call for a vote on this motion. Councillor Handley.
Yes.
Councillor Bogdan.
Yes.
Councillor Hoban.
Yes.
Councillor Whipple.
Yes.
Councillor Garrett, yes. Councillor McKay
Yes.
and Councillor Christensen.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you. That motion passes by a vote of 7-0. Thank you, Tara. If there's no objection, we'll now adjourn the Provo Municipal Council and convene the RDA Governing Board by unanimous consent and turn the time to our board chair.
Oh, hello, my friends. Welcome to the RDA board. We have an implied motion on a resolution of the Redevelopment Agency of Provo City designating a survey area and authorizing related actions for a potential community reinvestment project area. This will be presented by Melissa McNally, the RDA Director.
Thank you. Good evening. So this resolution is for a proposed survey area for a community reinvestment area that is north. It is north of Lakeview Parkway, south of Center Street, going kind of running along with Lakeview Parkway. The purpose of the survey area is just to take a look at the properties and see what makes sense to incentivize and bring into a project area, plan and adopt in a community reinvestment area. So this is just basically a study of the properties in this area.
All right. Are there any questions for Melissa from the board? Okay. In that case, I believe we can now open this item for public comment.
Can we put the map up on the screen?
Yes.
Proposed.
There we go. So this is the map for the survey area, the study area that we're looking at. All right. Seeing no public comment, we will now return for board discussion. Board Member Bogdan.
Brian, in this, do we have to include those items that we wanted looked at in this vote, or are we okay?
No, staff already has that list.
That direction?
Yeah, and that direction has been given to them about what they should come back with after the survey.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we discussed this at some length during our work meeting earlier today. The items that we wanted included in the study that Board Member Bogdan were referring to were for staff to come back to the board with information about the history of that area, potential and current property disputes, potential resolution of those disputes, information about the wetlands in that area, how to mitigate damage to them and to protect them, information about the Walmart and other economic development opportunities, how this can affect the adjacent landowners and landowners within the study area, and to also talk to the Agricultural Commission and the agricultural owners and operators in the area. Any more board discussion?
Rachel?
Yes.
I would just like to say what this does not mean. What this does not mean is let's find a way to build out this entire open space with retail. What this is saying is where are we best targeting limited resources and capabilities? Because I feel strongly that we want to keep wetlands where we can. We want to keep open space and farms where we can. Farming is an important part of our city and our city economy. So this is not how do we develop everything. It's really where's the highest leverage to make sure we're serving people on the west side.
Thank you, Craig Christensen. I'll also note that while not part of this motion, as a board, we've also asked for general information about protecting this open space that's south of the Lakeview Parkway. That's really outside of the RDA purview, but it is something that we have clearly expressed to the administration. And we've also instructed the RDA administrative staff to come back to us with additional study areas on the west side, including kind of the Center Street area and much farther to the north, so that we can encourage the development of more commercial nodes throughout the west side. All right, if there's no further board discussion, we will go ahead and call for a vote on the implied motion. We'll start with Board Member Garrett.
Yes.
McKay,
Yes.
Christensen,
Yes.
Handley,
Yes.
Bogdan,
No.
Hoban,
Yes.
and Whipple is yes. This is a vote that passes by, or this is a motion that passes by a vote of 6-1. If there is no objection, we will now adjourn the RDA Governing Board by unanimous consent.
Thank you for coming tonight.